Well, good Monday morning to you. Welcome to our Monday morning live edition of the Doctor's Nutrition Show. I'm your host, Jim Tabor, along with Drs. Jim and Janine Fox of Doctor's Nutrition, located on Camel Lorraine Road in Gulfport, just south of Pass Road. For those of you that are just tuning in, we do this every Monday morning at this time on WLOX CBS. It is a live call-in show, and what we do is we talk about things to help you live a healthier lifestyle. And we have phone lines in which you can call in and ask questions at 896-0713 or 800-349-0713. You pass the question on to our producer, and they'll pass it along to us. Well, here we are in a brand new year. Everybody's making those New Year's resolutions. They're going to do better. They're going to exercise, get in great shape, a healthier you. Well, today we're going to kind of give you some tips on how to have a healthier 2023.
Yeah, we thought that'd be a good idea, rather than, just kind of laying out everything. Just talk about some of the health tips, some of the easy stuff you can do. I mean, that's the key.
And it's probably stuff we talk about all the time.
Well, yeah.
But because we're always talking about health tips,
yeah.
But kind of give you an overview of things that you can do.
Yeah.
And you want things that you can accomplish.
Right.
I mean, that's the thing. Is one thing with a tip, don't ever make a goal that you can't keep.
I think yeah, that's one of the biggest problems we see a lot of times with folks in New Year's resolutions.
All right. Well, they say I'm going to exercise more. I'm going to eat better.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the bigger ones right there. I'm going to eat better.
Well, it should be.
Yes.
People don't eat well.
No.
And they really don't.
I know.
But they'll go out and they'll get they haven't been to the gym in a year. Since the last year when they got a gym membership lasted 2 or 3 months, and then they finally said, okay, throw their hands, and because they don't do it.
Right.
Okay, so let's do something simple, easy. That's the way to do this, because if you do it a little bit at a time, you can make some headway with it. Make some big changes simply by doing small things. That's really the key.
Now,
It's easier to make it a habit.
It's much easier to make it a habit.
Yes, and people that change what they eat, it should not be a diet. It should be a lifestyle change. Because any diet, I don't care which one out there, if you go on a diet, even if you lose weight and you do better and then you get off of it, everything comes back. So it's got to be a lifestyle change. It cannot be a diet.
Right. And the number one thing on our lifestyle change, avoid sugar.
Right.
And I know it's everywhere. Believe me. Don't care where you look, sugar's there. But you really need to avoid it, and we need to stay away from a lot of times hidden sources. But and we're going to mention staying away from packaged processed foods, which has a lot of sugar in it, typically, specifically to make it taste better, because if it didn't, you probably wouldn't eat it anyhow. So just staying away from sugar is a biggie. And if you just do that one thing, just make that one step of I'm going to avoid sugar.
It's been hard for me because I'm a chocoholic. I love chocolate, but I know
you can do dark chocolate.
Exactly, dark
chocolate. And they make chocolate that has stevia and things like that, so it doesn't have sugar.
We even have a chocolate that has no sugar added at all, but none of the artificial sweeteners or even natural sweeteners either. It actually uses something from beets, and it's actually really good. It's not near as sweet, there's no doubt, but it's good. And so we have other chocolates that are very low in sugar. And so that's what you got to look at. And so chocolate is not, there's a lot of health benefits to chocolate. The cocoa itself, not the sugar. So your milk chocolates are not. It's more of your dark chocolates that are very low in sugar or no sugar.
70% or above.
One of the other things that I've cut out, because I used to be really bad, is when I had my coffee in the morning, I always had to have some of that French vanilla, even though it's sugar-free, flavored creamer.
Those are terrible.
Yes, but I have cut that out.
Yep,
terrible.
terrible.
About to seeing that thing where that one caught on fire, right?
What?
I said, it's one of those creamers.
It caught on fire?
Yeah, it was a YouTube video. You know what you see on YouTube. But this guy on YouTube, he was starting a fire, and he took this coffee creamer and dumped down there and put a little match to it. Boof. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't tried it.
When it has a bunch of chemicals that you can't pronounce, no matter what it is, stay away from it. That is a really good health tip. If it's not real, and if you're hungry for something sweet, make it yourself.
Yes.
If you make it yourself and make it with real ingredients, and it's harder for you to use the amount of sugar. I know I can't do it in a recipe. I can't put the amount of sugar it'll call for. I just can't do it. There's no way I can put that much sugar. And I don't even have regular sugar in my house. I use coconut sugar, which is a lower glycemic tastes just the same. It browns, so you can cook with it. You still don't want to overdo it, but use that instead. And I'll use a lower amount of the coconut nectar and do everything from scratch. And then if you know the ingredients yourself, it's much better for you.
Wow.
And when you do it yourself, it doesn't stay good very long because it doesn't have the preservatives.
True.
So you can freeze it so you don't eat it all at one time. That's kind of what I do. And we will have little things occasionally, not much, but occasionally.
And I always get the next comment that was, well, that stuff's really expensive. Just eat less of it.
Yeah, just
I mean,
yeah.
you know, it's not that
Yeah.
you got to eat, you know,
Right.
3 meals a day worth of stuff. Eat less of it.
Eat less of anything.
Yeah.
That's another tip that would actually be really good when it comes to food. Definitely no packaged processed food. Definitely get off of sugar. And another is
Flavored creamer.
is eat less. That flavored creamer is terrible, especially with all that artificial stuff. It is terrible.
Yeah.
I always tell people, they say, well, I have to have creamer. I said, then use heavy cream.
Well, I just use.
Use the real thing.
I started there because
Yep.
started using just regular vitamin D milk
Yeah.
instead because I
that'll
wasn't,
work.
and I was using 2% for everything else, you know, drinking, and of course, you know, he said no, you're better off doing
Right.
whole milk.
Whole milk.
So I've switched to whole milk.
Right. Everybody's afraid of fat, and that is another health tip we can definitely say is don't be afraid of good fat. Now, you don't want the bad
Right.
fat. You don't want soybean oil. You don't want cottonseed oil. There's no doubt about that, and a lot of your packaged processed food has those. You do want good fat, which is your extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, walnut oil. Like I said, your good fats. And coconut oil in some people. Now, coconut oil can increase cholesterol.
Yeah.
And we do see that in some people. It depends on the person. And I don't like the way it makes everything taste like coconut, but that's just me.
would-
But
like
you do
coconut.
want good fats, and you want the fats that are beneficial for you, because fat is not the problem.
No.
It is the sugar, and it's when in the years ago when everything went fat-free is when diabetes was on the rise, weight gain in everybody. It has made more weight gain than anything is going fat-free. So fat makes you feel fuller. It actually is beneficial for the brain. It's beneficial for a lot of the things in the body. So don't be afraid of the good fat.
Especially things like fatty fish.
Yep.
You know, you want a variety of protein anyhow. You know,
Right.
so get a variety of protein. Because fatty fish are good. So you know, things like that. And if you do those simple steps, it'll make a big difference.
It does.
All right, 896-0713 or 800-349-0713. We're talking about ways to have a healthier 2023. So if you have any questions, give us a call. We'll take a break and we'll be right back. It's 8 minutes after 9. And welcome back. It's our Monday morning live edition of the Doctor's Nutrition Show. We are talking about ways to have a better, healthier 2023, things that you can do. And of course, one thing that everybody says, I'm going to exercise more.
Right.
You know, and I hate to tell people, you know, because a lot of people think exercise, I've got to go do this. Just move. You know, I think rather than say, okay, got to go, if I'm going to exercise, I've got to go do X. No, just move.
Move more.
Yeah.
And so that's something that everybody can do.
Yeah.
No matter what your condition, no matter if you have a knee issue or
Yeah.
a foot issue, I hear it all the time, I can't exercise because I have this. Move more. You walk, even if you walk with a walker, walk more with a walker.
Right.
So do more of moving around.
Even if you're in a wheelchair,
Yeah.
move more. Just
move.
do it more. you know.
Move your arms,
Yeah.
exercise the arms. So there's definitely things
Yeah.
that you can do.
Well, you can get those little dumbbells, and like you said, even if you're in a wheelchair,
Yeah.
get the
Yeah.
little dumbbells and just work with them.
Yeah.
Got a question from a caller, a viewer. What are your opinions on the Weight Watchers plan and keto?
Okay, now I think Weight Watchers is good because it limits the amount.
Yeah.
I always tell people, because we have a lot of people that do Weight Watchers, and we give them that sheet that's lower glycemic and lower sugar, because a lot of I said do them together.
Mm-hmm.
Do it to where you lower your sugar, but you actually count the points for everything that you are eating,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that does kind of keep you on track on how much you eat.
But
So I think that's the big thing.
Right, but they brought up the keto, and I think keto is one of the things that's, let's don't get carried away with quote unquote keto, but go more toward and we talked about it earlier about the good fats, the higher fats, because everybody's afraid of fat. Oh my God, they're scared to death of fat. I mean, sit down and talk to people, oh, that's got too much fat in it. No, fat's good for you. Our body has to have fat. and it's just got to be the right kind. And the thing with keto, increase the fats. You don't have to go crazy with keto, but sort of toward that, you know.
You want to lower the sugar and the carbs,
Right.
which is not
Toward
keto though
yeah.
is high fat and it's not always the good fat.
Right.
And that's what we don't like about keto is if you do the bad fats. Now, if you're really good at the good fat and it's really strict on that, but a lot of people I see don't. A lot of the research coming out on keto says keto is okay as long as you do not cheat.
Right.
But if you cheat on keto, they definitely found that it affects the inside lining of the arteries.
Yes.
And that's not good. So it's like, you know, because you're having this high bad fat stuff and then you add carbs in it when you cheat. So that's not good. That's the standard American diet.
That's true.
Right.
So you don't want to do that.
All right, we have another caller with a question. What are considered bad fats? What fats should you stay away from?
All right, the bad fats in general are the polyunsaturated fatty acids, the PUFAs. And everybody thinks, oh, those are the good ones. No, actually science has shown us that they're not too good. So you want to stay with things that's got more of the monosaturated fats, like olive oil, things like that. Some of the saturated fats aren't too bad, but at the same time, most of them, like we mentioned, and she's talking about like doing cooking with like walnut oil or avocado oil, or even coconut oil. Coconut oil's got a little more of the saturated fats, and you probably don't want to do too much of that. And occasionally cooking with a little bit of it, that's one thing. But some people get kind of carried away with it.
And the bad fats, I mentioned a few before. Soybean oil, horrible. And it's in a lot of packaged processed food.
Well, it's cheap.
Cottonseed oil, not good.
Yeah, it's cheap.
So those two are really bad. Actually, your canola, stuff like that, that ain't good either. So, I mean,
No.
that's what a lot of people have been told to use, and we disagree.
We
And-
totally disagree.
That's
So-
why you recommend extra virgin olive oil.
Yeah.
Extra virgin
Now,
olive oil,
with
I tell
olive
everybody
oil,
that's
with
the-
olive oil though, you can't heat it past
Right.
about 325 or it can go rancid. So you don't want to heat at high temperatures with olive oil. If something is cold or at very low temperatures, you can use olive oil. When you start getting above that, that's when I use more of like an avocado oil or walnut oil because they can go to high temperatures.
Yeah, they'll take the higher temperature.
And so that's what you got to look at too, is the temperature that you're cooking. You know, on salads, yes, olive oil. But
I just drizzle it on about everything I eat.
he puts it on everything after I cook it.
Yeah,
Everything.
it doesn't matter what it
He
is.
eats more olive oil than he can imagine.
I really do. You know,
He really does.
You know, I do because I stay away from all the other fats.
He don't eat any, and he is so thin. It definitely has not affected his weight, but he does it, and it makes him stay full too, because we really don't eat huge amounts of food.
Right.
We really don't.
No.
So,
That's why your boss is so thin.
so like I said, we
No
just don't
more
eat-
than 2 meals a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't eat huge amounts, and so he does eat olive oil just to kind of keep it. Olive oil, I really showed an allergy to olive oil when I did my food allergy test, so I don't do a lot of olive oil.
That way I get it all.
Yeah, he just pours it on everything after I cook it.
Another caller with a question. Why is saturated fat bad for you?
Hard to process by the body. The problem with the fully saturated fats is they're hard to process by the body. That's probably the biggest key. And some of them have highly oxidized. Some of them are very oxidized. That's another thing. That's, you know, you're getting oxidized fats to begin with. They're not good anyhow, and you know, then they're hard for the body to process, because if you look at most of the saturated fats at room temperature, they're going to be solid. They're not going to be liquid at that time. And so the monosaturated fats, like olive oil, you know, that's pretty much at room temperature. It's pretty much it's the saturated monosaturated fats are simply liquid.
And you can do some saturated fats.
You can do
'cause there's-
some, right.
I do use organic butter, and I do
Oh, yeah.
use, I mean, I will actually use bacon grease. I mean,
Yeah.
but I use organic bacon with no chemicals. It's very different than what other people are eating,
Yeah.
because you don't want the nitrites and the chemicals and everything that comes with it.
That's one of the biggest
Yeah.
problems with the saturated.
What's the difference between butter and margarine?
Terrible. Margarine,
Margarine's
nobody needs to
fake.
eat margarine. Margarine is a really bad fat. It's fake, it's plastic.
It's
and
the original fake food.
And ants don't even want it. Put a tub of it out. Ants don't even want it.
I remember the commercial. I can't believe it's not butter spray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you don't want that.
No.
Definitely don't want that. It's always better to be real.
Yeah.
Yes.
Real food is better than fake food. Put it that way.
Right.
Yep.
Well, I'm just asking because I do use butter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Butter's good.
But back to the exercise.
Yeah.
Another thing with exercise is you do want to try to add in some weight bearing. And weight bearing, I mean, even if it is those little weights you mentioned or doing anything, but that does help bone density. There's nothing better for bone density than lifting. And so people, especially women as they age, stop lifting anything. And that definitely does not help you long term on your bone density.
Yeah.
Right.
And
If you can do it, keep doing it. Don't do it, don't hurt yourself.
no.
Do it safely, do it where it doesn't hurt you, but you don't stop doing things. Don't
And
stop lifting.
And if you're going to walk, and I got a lot of women that do this, they make weight vests that you can put weights in. So when you walk, you're adding a little bit of weight there. That's a good idea. Another thing is just take a simple backpack and start putting a couple of cans of beans or something like that in it, and just add and keep adding it up to where you get, to where you're getting up around that 5 or 10 pound mark eventually. And now you're doing yourself some really good.
Okay. All right, 896-0713 or 800-349-0713. We're talking about ways to have a healthier 2023. 17 minutes after 9 o'clock, we're going to take a break, and we'll be back with this week's special. It's 20 minutes after 9 o'clock. Welcome back. We are talking about ways to have a healthier 2023. And one of the things that's very important, kind of directly is in line with the special of the week, and that is good sleep.
Yes, it is so important to get good sleep. And a lot of people do have sleep issues. So that's one reason we put the special Better Rest formula. And it does actually help with sleep. It does contain things for relaxation. It does have your GABA, and it does have melatonin, and it does have relaxants. And so it has a lot of different things in it that actually help with sleep. Because sleep is, no doubt, if you don't get good sleep, it don't matter what else you do the rest of the time, you're not going to feel well.
That's true.
So you have to get, that's when the body repairs. People don't realize your body repairs at night while you sleep. So if you don't have any sleep, then you don't get the repair. And then you're just going to, no matter if you eat right, exercise, everything else, you're going to be dragging. So definitely you want to get that.
No doubt about
Yeah.
it.
All right, a question from a viewer. What type of breakfast cereals do you recommend for people in their 60s, or is that something I should avoid?
Something to avoid.
Yeah. I think breakfast is probably the most highly overrated meal of the day anyhow. And secondly, when you start adding, the breakfast cereals, I don't know of one that's not a packaged processed food.
Yeah, it's all packaged processed. Now, I mean, one thing that if you have to do something, and I mean, it's not what we tell people to do, but your old-fashioned steel cut oats, but it cannot be the quick cook ones. It can't be, but still, it's high in carbs. And so it does turn to sugar. It's not what we tell people, but if you're going to pick one, you want the one that has one ingredient.
And you can't put sugar on it. And if
Nope,
you've ever
and you
tasted
can't
those
put,
things,
exactly, they don't taste real good without putting sugar
No.
on it. But it has one ingredient. Things that have less ingredients are better. And look at your cereal packages. I mean, there's a list. And so they're definitely packaged and processed.
one of the healthiest things that you can do is some intermittent fasting.
Yep.
I mean, put breakfast off until, because when you sleep at night, breakfast is break the fast, and you fasted overnight. So if you can put that fast off until, say, 10, 11, maybe noon, now whatever you had for lunch, well, that's breakfast, I guess.
Yeah.
But,
And you can
it's a
still
better
have
food source.
scrambled eggs. And whole eggs are actually, there's a lot of research on how good whole eggs are.
seen the price on whole
for
eggs
you.
lately?
I know, they're
yeah.
expensive now. That is true.
Chickens are popular now.
There's several memes running around on Facebook and everything. Give her something special for Valentine's. The guy's down on his knees and he's
With a
holding a carton of
egg.
eggs.
Yeah, exactly.
So that is, though, something you can eat that,
Yeah.
for breakfast, that would be better. But like I said, there's so many things you can do for your health.
Yeah.
And another one that we just wanted to mention before we finish, and it's soon, is the immune system.
Right.
People have got to realize, look around. The viruses out there aren't going away. This year there was a whole bunch of them because the flu is back, COVID's still here, everything's still here. It is still important to keep that immune system up. And don't overdo your vitamin D. You want vitamin D, but you need to check it. I have seen more people with high vitamin D in the last couple of weeks for some reason than I have in years. And it's
Yeah.
because people are overdoing it. If a little's good, we might want to do 10 times that amount. And that's not always good either. You've got to do the lab work to check and see where you are.
Right.
Because you can get too much.
Yeah, you can. And like I say, here recently we've seen way too many coming back
Yeah.
really high. I'm talking about really high. And that's not good. I mean, you can overwhelm your body in any particular way. You can even drink too much water. Okay.
Yeah.
So same thing with vitamin
So,
D.
and you don't want to stop your D because we're saying this,
No.
because we see a lot of low D still too. You just have to make sure it's right. So one big health tip, make sure you do your lab work.
I think a friend of ours married a lady from Sweden, and in Sweden, granted they've got socialized medicine, but still, what they do is they check they go to the doctor twice a year, so to speak, for a little checkup. And in the summertime, they check their vitamin D, and in the wintertime, they check their vitamin D, and they adjust the dosages based on that. Smart way to go.
Yeah, you gotta. That's why you do lab work.
Right.
Even if you're not sick, you do it to adjust what you need.
Right.
Because everybody is different.
Yep.
One person might need 10,000 a day. One person might need 2,000 a day.
Yep.
It's a big difference.
People that work outside a lot, it's not going to need as much.
Well, that-
Honestly, not always. Actually, sometimes the people outside, because
Really?
they tan and they have dark skin. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you
can
tan
see
well
that,
and you're
yeah.
out in the sun all the time, you still got to take more.
And it's about your genetics too. You know,
Yeah.
you can have what looks like, you know, okay, you have a decent amount of vitamin D, and at the same time, if you're genetically, if you can't convert that D to an active form, you know, then okay, you got a problem. So we know there's a lot of things going on genetically, and we know that vitamin D touches like over 1,000 different genes that we know of so far, and actually has a direct influence on it. So it's very, very important stuff. Just have to check it to make
But
sure.
on the immune system, even the sleep we talked about, it's important to get sleep for the immune system.
Right.
It's important to get movement for the immune system. It's
Right.
important to take your D and C and zinc and even things like probiotics. Everybody should take a probiotic. And then if you want a health tip, everybody probably should do a multi, a probiotic, and fish oil.
Omega-3 fish oil,
I
right?
mean, that's
That-
kind of something that probably everybody needs to take.
I'd say if you did that without doing anything else, you're way ahead of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And that probiotic needs to be probably up around at least, say, 40, 50 billion colony forming units per day,
Yep.
or minimum.
And on the fish oil, you always want to look at the EPA and DHA, because it's
Yeah.
not about the fish oil itself. It's about how much active ingredient it has in it. 'Cause
Right.
there's some out there that are very low.
Yeah.
And the one we use, we have some that are really high, and then we have some that's kind of
Yeah.
high, but not as high as the others, depending on what's going on. If you're just doing it for health, the lower ones are fine, but it's not, our lower ones are not low.
No, they're not low.
Here's one thing too.
Yep.
Don't go and base what you want to take off of a friend or a family member or something. Say, oh, they're taking this and this, and they feel pretty good. Let me take that too, because that's why the doctors always recommend getting your blood work done, because you could be different. I mean, there were some things whenever I started on this journey with them 8, 9 years ago that I'd never heard of before, but that I needed in my system. DHEA, niacin, 5-HTP, and all kinds of things like that,
Right.
and the omega-3s, of course,
Yeah.
Right.
that I needed. And knock on wood, of course, right now I'm dealing with a touch of bronchitis, but I feel fine. Is I feel a lot better than I have in
Yep.
years. Because, gee, I wonder why.
A lot
Well,
of things, yeah.
it's personalized.
Yeah.
You know, like I say,
Exactly.
you're different than me, and
Right.
so on. So
Yep.
your requirements are different. We're not all genetically the same.
Yep.
Face it. And so we need different things, and one of the only ways to know that is to do the lab work.
Yep.
Yep.
It
See
is.
what you need.
Definitely got to do that.
Yep.
All right, next week,
We're going to talk about something really fun. It's kind of an anti-aging thing. It's called NMN, nicotinamide mononucleotide.
Yep.
And,
And it is, we're
yeah.
going to talk about how it's anti-aging and how it works and what it does for the mitochondria.
Right.
So,
wow.
yeah.
All right, well, thank you for joining us this morning. If you have any other questions, you can always email me at jtabor@wlox.com. I will pass it on to them. You can also find a great deal of information on doctorsnutrition.com or also on their Facebook page.
Right.
Hope you have a wonderful week, and we will see you again next Monday morning here on WLOX CBS.
For more information on highlighting your business and services on Healthy Living South Mississippi, contact Jim Tabor at 896-1313.